I used to do lots of things.
I used to do things and I'd say things and Jesus I was evil. Take things and break things and Jesus I was evil. I never shook babies.
Yeah, here we go.
What episode is this? Oh, 57.
57, yeah.
Yeah. So should we start with a Nazi jar?
Yeah.
You found a Nazi jar, which actually is trending now. I didn't see it trending before.
Yeah,
and I did
yeah.
check because I don't like, if it's a account with like 19 followers or something, just it could be fake. It could be just like some person in their
Yeah.
basement. But like this account, which is called Duty to Warn at
Yeah.
Duty to numeral Warn,
Yeah.
has 404,000 followers.
Yeah, yeah.
So this isn't a small account. I don't know exactly what it is. The tweet has since been deleted, but it's the internet, so everything lasts forever.
Yep.
I'm on Libs of TikTok, screenshotted it. That's just the first one I found.
Oh, okay, nice.
And I also retweeted it, Define L's, which is one of my favorite accounts, Define L's.
Yeah, they're great.
So I'll read the account, the tweet that got this account to owe us $1 for the Nazi jar. It is. It's so good. Last night, in a bloodbath, Twitter purged en masse mainstream journalists who cover Elon Musk. I'm reminded of Crystal Knocked. Ding, ding, ding. Free speech was the second big lie. This is what bare-knuckled fascism looks like. Is it? Is it what bare-knuckled fascism looks like? No, look, I want to discuss the what Elon's doing.
Yeah.
I want to get your take on it. I don't
Yeah.
even actually know exactly what's going on. I've been in and out of Twitter recently.
Yeah, yeah.
But and then this same account, just to give you context of these people, on July 8th, 2021, tweeted, Tommy Lauren called flight attendants Nazis of the air for enforcing the mask mandate. And for that, I would put Tommy Lauren in the Nazi jar also, right?
Yep.
I call anyone who makes false equivalents to the Holocaust ignorant anti-Semites. Fuck you. So it's like
what a difference a year can make to somebody.
Really, the self-awareness is the lack of self-awareness is palpable. So that's $1 in for the. Did we talk about? I was looking in the Nazi jar recently, and did we do the James Clyburn one? I think we did. Where it's on track to repeat what happened in Germany in the 1930s. I think this was merely about Trump. About Musk buying Twitter.
Yeah,
which somehow is about the end of the Weimar Republic.
Yeah, we did that.
I don't know if I talked about that one. And
that
that is
I guess that's an elected Tommy Lauren too.
Was that?
I didn't know about the Tommy Lauren one, so I guess we should charge her.
That was literally like by our first episode. I think we just did our first episode then. No, I'm not going to do retroactive, but I mean, I would. You want me to? All right, I'll tell. I don't know what happened to Tommy Lauren. Like, she was a thing for a while during that kind of like Milo Yiannopoulos period, like mid 2010, like really 2015, 16, 17. Like, I haven't seen anything from her in a while.
Yeah, my mom got suspended from Twitter for calling her a Barbie.
A Barbie,
like an annoying Barbie.
Is your mom on Twitter?
Yeah.
Does she follow us?
No, I hope not. No, I'm pretty sure she's not. Like I keep it pretty close. They don't even know about the podcast. So
your friends don't know about the podcast?
Yeah, my friends haven't. They don't know about the podcast. Yeah, so it'd be like coming out to them. It's like coming out to your parents.
It's like, I'm better than that.
No son of mine. They don't know what the hell I'm up to down here, man.
Are your parents resistance libs?
No, not really. So they hated Trump, but they were also like, we agree with a lot of his policies. We just don't like what he says. So they're just
a lot of people. Oh, yeah. Did you see my tweet though? It's anecdotal about today. I swear.
The DeSantis flag.
There's this house down the street from me that like a big flagpole on the front yard has been flying a Trump flag literally since I moved here, like 2019. And then after he lost 2020, they put up like a Trump 2024 flag. Today, I'm not even kidding, in its place, like not in addition to, but in its place is now a DeSantis flag. I did a double take.
Wow.
And that's the first DeSantis flag I've seen. And this guy was like, I really like jogging and driving around my neighborhood because I feel like my neighborhood's kind of a good barometer of like the suburbs.
Yeah.
It's a very typical suburban neighborhood. in terms of voting patterns. I feel like in a lot of the country, like so, I'd look at like, oh, that house had a Biden sign, that one had a Trump sign, that one had this, that, like the governor or and it's like, oh, I'm seeing like nothing but these signs. Like I think it's going to swing this way. It's like, oh, so I mean, that could be something. I don't know. I think Trump's fucking done.
Yeah, it seems like in the 2020 or the midterms we just had, the 2022 midterms, even a lot of conservative pundits were like, yeah, Trump really shot himself in the foot because so many of the people that he backed lost.
Almost all of them.
Yeah, and then also like the stupid the NFT trading card thing that he put out, and it's like so many people who fall in and were like, this is just gross, this is just cringy, dude. Like
it's yeah, I think it served its purpose in like 2016. I think looking back, I was one of those like pearl clutching, shrieking libs, but like looking back, I liked the response. Like I liked what happened then in a way. I think Trump was a shitty president, but anytime someone gives a middle finger to the establishment, which is kind of how I feel about Elon. Elon, I mean, he's the richest person in the world. I don't even know how I feel about billionaires, period. My view is at least he's a billionaire who's like innovating, like creating stuff, like creating electric cars, changing the world, hopefully for the better. He's not just like manipulating money like a lot of people, or like a Warren Buffett, just like buying shit and owning shit.
Right.
Same with Bezos. At least Bezos, like I don't like him, but at least he like changed the world. Yeah. Maybe for the better. I don't know. I use Amazon. I try not to, but it's really convenient and it's really good. So it's hard not to sometimes.
Yeah, well, it's funny that people will shit on Elon. It's like, oh, like he's like one of the richest guys in the world, but he hasn't like solved world hunger. But you remember when he told the United Nations like, hey, I'll give you however many billions of dollars to solve world hunger as long as you guys are transparent, and the UN said no, and then so he's like, all right, fine, well, you don't get my money then.
Yeah,
all you have to do is be transparent. Like,
yeah, I have seen that, dude. I worked at the UN. They don't do shit. Like it is so much. It is like the what's it called? Like the Mutual Admiration Society. There's so much highfalutin talk. Yeah, it's like they don't really do anything. They really don't have like power.
Yeah, no.
Like they can shame people. They can like shame countries. Like at least I'm no fan of NATO. Mm-hmm. If I were dictator, like I fantasize about, I would take us out of NATO, to be honest. But at least NATO has like power. Like NATO can fire. NATO attacked Gaddafi. Like they can do shit. The UN really doesn't do much. But
was that in Team America World Police where that guy was like they were going to the dictator guy, and then they like let us see if you have any WMDs. Yeah. And he's like, well, what will happen if I don't? And he goes, we'll send you a strongly worded letter. And
and it's like when you have like China on like the Human Rights Commission or the fuck it is, it's like you lose all credibility. It's really ridiculous. And I shouldn't say I didn't work in the UN. I worked for an organization. I worked down the street from the UN, and I'd go to the UN often. I'd like the pass and clearance and all that shit.
Right.
As a internship in law school, and it's like it's kind of eye opening with how little they actually do.
Yeah, it's very symbolic.
Yeah, it's very symbolic. It's plan. What's the term? It was like 2030. Like plan to eradicate this by this time. It's like it's not that hunger and poverty and those things they've become like ameliorated to a degree that like was unthinkable not that long ago.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's like the UN. I think it's just society improving in so many different ways.
Yeah.
And it's this project by this time. It's okay, but what are you doing? Like, I don't know. I'm much more of a pragmatist. Like, give people food, give people money, build this, like build infrastructure instead of all these like just ridiculous goals and stuff that just sound nice.
Yeah, it's funny. I have similar leanings where I got into discussion with a friend who's very left-leaning, but he's also very intelligent, and he pointed out about how Black Lives Matter.
I don't believe that for a second.
Well, no, he was pointing out how Black Lives Matter was like they raised so much money, but so little that actually went like it's like, oh, they're raising money for impoverished schools or communities. Like so much of the money went to them like buying their own mansions for themselves, or like going to, and then so like he's a left-wing guy, but I was like, I wish that there was a more pragmatic progressivism, and we would call it like progressivism, like But
I mean, Black Lives Matter is a complete and total scam. Like that's been. I don't think that's arguable anymore. I think 60 out of the $90 million they received is just unaccounted for. went to buying properties all over Canada, California. Very, very, very little of it went to actually the local chapters, went to any of these communities. It's an absolute joke. It's an absolute fucking joke.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm glad, like, and I hope a lot of these liberals got duped, like, and will think twice, like, go pay someone's rent. Like, go there. I work in this fucking area. There are people who are like going to churches to try and get money for rent. Like, stop giving things to organizations. They don't fucking work. It takes forever. It's bureaucratic. It gets messed up. Just like go to, you want to help someone, go to the housing court in your local county and ask who needs their rent paid. And for instance, in New Jersey, if someone gets sued for non-payment of rent and can come up with the money, that eviction stops. And they come up right there. Go do that then. Yeah. Go to the blackest part of your county, wherever that is, or of your state or whatever, and go pay people's rent if you give a shit. Stop giving it to these like ridiculous organizations that just bilk it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I used that right. They bilk you out of your money.
Right. Yeah. But we got bigger things to talk about.
Yeah, we do.
We got more important things to talk about.
What do you want to start with?
Can we talk about the Jennifer Lawrence thing?
Sure.
She shit on.
This was like such a kind of like nauseating thing to read, because she's just like sucking Viola Davis's ass this whole interview.
Yeah.
You know, like, I get like Viola Davis is a great actress, but like my God, I have a little self-respect.
God, yeah, that was the so this was it the Hollywood Reporter? No, it was Variety.
Yeah.
So I actually read an article about this on Medium. So in one of the cringiest parts about that exchange between the two of them was this went viral, and I think actually Variety even deleted the tweet that featured the quote. But here's the quote that I wrote the article on. I remember when I was doing Hunger Games, nobody had ever put a woman in the lead of an action movie because it wouldn't work. Because we were told girls and boys can both identify with the male lead, but boys cannot identify with the female lead. And then the second part of the quote, and it just makes me so happy every single time I see a movie come out that just blows through every one of those beliefs and proves that it is just a lie to keep certain people out of the movies, to keep certain people in the same positions that they've always been. So sorry, Jennifer Lawrence, J-Law. There have been actually quite a few female and amazing ones too. Like not like fucking like Linda Hamilton as Sarah Connor and
it's not like you have to go find some indie picks that like a USC film student did. Like some of the biggest blockbusters of all time. Yeah, like you said, like Terminator,
fucking Aliens.
Well, the whole Terminator series, Alien. Yeah. Starting with Aliens, which is one of my favorites. Sigourney Weaver's awesome in that. We brought her up a bunch on the show. How it's how like it was authentic and it wasn't in your face. It wasn't like this is the female lead, action / horror movie. It's like, no, this is the action / horror movie with a badass female lead. Yeah. Like who you don't even necessarily know is going to be the lead the whole time, because everyone else keeps getting picked off and makes dumb decisions. And she uses her like intuition and ingenuity and makes smart decisions, and is like does masculine things, but also is like a mother in it. Like, isn't she like she saves the cat, or is that Aliens? I forget.
That's Aliens, but that's the first one. The Alien was
Alien.
Yeah.
And
then the second, she's got the maternal instinct.
Yeah, like the maternal instinct, which is like a beautiful thing that can come to your advantage in an action movie. Like it's so well done. So for someone like Jennifer Lawrence to like ignore that, one is a slap in the face of Sigourney Weaver, and maybe there are others we can discuss. Like that's the one that always comes to mind for me. Yeah, because this is one of my favorite movie series, or at least the first two. And also just like you're an actor, shouldn't you have some kind of historical context for your profession?
Yeah, no, it's so I mean, it's like like in the article that I wrote, it's like, okay, like you got Kate Beckinsale in the Underworld films, Mia Jovovich in the Resident Evil franchise, Jovovich, and then like blaxploitation, the blaxploitation movies of like the 70s.
Yeah, you had what's her name,
like Pam Grier and
Pam Grier. Pam Grier's awesome.
Yeah. Like there have been a lot of female like kick-ass ladies in action movies like before what's her J-Lo was even born. So
was the Insurgent series, was that pre or post Hunger Games?
I want to say it was post.
Okay,
because I think Hunger Games kind of kicked off the sort of
YA dystopian novel.
Yeah, but it came out around the same time. But it's like, yeah, you don't need to look far to see some kick-ass women in action movies, like genuinely kick-ass, like not just like annoying feminists
and like leads.
Yeah.
So I don't know what it's it's kind of definition navel gazing, like you're just ignoring everything else just to look at yourself.
Also, like on a bit of a tangent, so I referenced this other article, and this is in CBR, which I think stands for Comic Book Readers, or but anyway, it's just a comic book website, and they become very woke. The comic book industry has become very woke. There's an article, and it's funny. It's written by a dude, but the article is called "The 10 Worst Written Female Characters in Sci-Fi Movies," and most of these, some of them I guess kind of make sense. Where it's like, okay, yeah, this is bad writing, but it has such a feminist. It has such a male feminist slant.
Oh, that's nothing worse.
Yeah, so it's a guy who's like, oh, look at these women, they've been treated so badly in Hollywood movies. It's like, yeah, but even if that was the case, all of these chicks got paid at least $5 million. Like it's not like,
it's like Colin Kaepernick calling NFL players like the new slavery or something. It's like these are all newly minted millionaires.
Exactly. So
and even those who aren't are like at the top 1% of American society.
Exactly. It's like even if you have it rough in your industry, you're still making 7 figures. So don't complain. But it's funny, like at number 4, Vasquez from Aliens, the Latina chick, the tough Latina chick from Aliens. Vasquez is a female character who embodies toxic masculinity.
That seems very anti-Latinx to me.
I know. It's funny. It's like, have you
met a Latina woman?
Yeah, it's like when I saw her, I was like, yeah, I met plenty of chicks like that.
Which one is she though? I'm getting confused. Is she also in SWAT? No, those are totally different movies. Those are like 20 years apart. I forget who I'm thinking of. In Aliens?
In Aliens. She played she's got short hair. She's got a red bandana. She looks all like Jola and everything.
Cool.
She also played the mom in Terminator 2. She's actually shown up in quite a few James Cameron movies. So she played Vasquez in Aliens. She played the mom in Terminator 2. The adopted mom of John Connor. And then she was also in Titanic briefly.
Who is this person?
I forgot her name. What's her
I'm looking right now. Bill. Her name's Vasquez in Aliens.
Yeah. What's her name? I forgot her name.
Hudson and Vasquez.
Jeanette Goldstein is who plays her.
She's not even fucking Latina.
Yeah, I know. she's pretty good.
Or maybe she could be.
So a funny little piece of trivia.
Jeanette Goldstein. Yeah.
Funny little piece of trivia around that. So she showed up to audition for Aliens, and when they told her that that it was an alien movie, she thought it was she when she heard the term alien, she thought it was like immigrant. So she showed up as like an Irish immigrant to the audition, and so they even make a joke about it in the movie. When, I don't know if you remember, where it's like, oh yeah, when we're talking about aliens, you thought you were talking about illegal aliens. So they actually make a joke about that, because she showed up as an immigrant for the audition, and then decades later, I guess, when James Cameron was doing Titanic, he cast her as an Irish immigrant on the ship. So he's like, hey, it's kind of like, yeah, now you actually are playing an alien.
Oh, she's in Near Dark.
Yes, she was in Near Dark. That was a good movie. I like that one.
That is a good movie.
Yeah, the Western sort of thing, the road movie.
It's weird, but it's good. It's definitely a fun, underrated. I heard that. I heard Tarantino talk. That's how I added to my list. I heard Tarantino talking about how it's like one of his favorite, because didn't he do a podcast about like just movies in the 80s or something?
Yeah.
But he said he didn't like movies in the 80s.
Well, he said the 80s was a bad time for cinema. But
I do remember her in Aliens now. Yeah, I'm thinking of someone else. There's another. I mean, that definitely is an archetype. Is like the Jenny from the Block Latina character. I don't like, I don't think that's toxic masculinity though. I think there are a lot of people like that.
Yeah.
And that's a good character. It's like the tough one. Is that what like we want? Like a lot of like, you don't always want all the like frail women. Like they want variety.
Yeah.
So now when you get that, it's like, oh well, she's this toxic masculinity. It's like, all right.
And like the fact that she's not even played by a Mexican chick, it's like that doesn't even bother. It's like it actually. There was actually a really funny moment in Aliens where I think it was Bill Paxton's character. He says something like, "Hey," he's like, "Hey, Vasquez, have you ever been mistaken for a man?" And she goes, "No, have you?" So it's like, she's cool.
It's a good line, yeah. I'm thinking of the angry Latina in SWAT, I think, and I think she's in Resident Evil.
I think of something Rodriguez. Is it?
That's a good guess.
Because isn't she also in the Fast and Furious movies? Like,
probably. I don't.
Because she usually plays tough Latina characters.
Yes, that's like literally she's typed.
And she was in Avatar too, right?
No, I haven't seen. I know we're gonna talk about him. I've not seen Avatar.
Oh,
that's actually one of my like surprising movies I haven't seen. Michelle Rodriguez. Right.
Her. Yeah.
She's always like the tough Latina woman. I think this is her. Anyway, I think she's in Resident Evil too. Anyway, so Jennifer Lawrence, is kind of dumb and like, is there anything else from that? I was reading that article. I was like, oh my god, you guys stop sucking each other's dicks about.
I know, yeah, and I like how Viola Davis didn't even say like, oh well, what about Terminator 2? What about Aliens? What about like? It's just like she just kind of went along with it. It's like, oh come on, like, and also like the editor, like I would have fact checked. I would have been like, I'm gonna cut this part out.
Yeah, you sound like a dumbass here for your own good. We're gonna cut this out. So once again, it's Ben and Joe sticking up for strong female leads in history. God, I'm such a feminist. And by the way, women out there, if you ever hear if like a guy ever kind of opens up in like your first conversation with him about being a feminist, like fucking run, just run. Like if he has to say that he's a predator, I mean that is like it's kind of like a huge part of, in my opinion, Promising Young Woman. Like did you see that?
No, but I remember you telling me about it.
It's very much about the like what I call the beta male predator.
Yeah.
Like I mean, look at the actors they get like
Christopher
Mintz-Platz. I would say Adrian Brody. It's not Adrian Brody. It's the guy from the OC. And I forget something Brody. Who's like a very like young, like boyish face, like the nice guy, kind of like the guy next door, a boy next door, and Bo Burnham are like kind of the three like guys like that. And there's some of that like douchey frat guy in there, like, but like most of these guys like they're quote unquote liberal and intellectual, and but like I guarantee you they would all consider themselves feminists.
Oh yeah.
I was like, no, if a guy starts saying that, just run, he's gonna rape you.
I think that guy Gad Sad, the Canadian he calls it sneaky fucker syndrome.
It is like they just want to get in your pants, so don't like anything they're saying is just get in your pants. So like just be aware of that. Like they're not they actually don't give a shit.
This is a valuable PSA to all three of our female listeners out there.
Because like anyone now really like, there are some like douchebags who will be like women aren't equal to men, I guess.
Sure.
Like, maybe there's some of that in like the quote unquote trad community, but like I think no one's arguing about like what used to really be considered feminism, which was equality and equal opportunity. And like I don't think anyone really argues that anymore, but like that's not what these guys are saying. If they are, then they shouldn't have to say it. Like there's tryhards then.
Exactly.
Like if anyone starts saying like, oh, we believe you're equal, it's like your response to be like, yeah, no shit. Like that does have to be said.
Right. But so but getting back to the Jennifer Lawrence thing, like it's just like that woke feminism thing. It's just like because in that article, it's like she's positioning herself as like she's displaying symptoms of like a hero complex and a victim complex. It's like that's what woke feminism is. It's just like all this just kind of crashing into each other. It's like look how tough we have it in Hollywood. Yeah, and also like I'm leading the charge. And it's like, oh fuck you, like you. She's like a year younger than me. And it's like, and like she thought that like cinema started in 1995, and it's just like, come on, man. Yeah. All right. Well, since we're still on the James Cameron thing, and it sucks. I love so much of James Cameron's
He's made some amazing movies.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was reading what he said. Like, one, it's kind of a anti-science dumb thing to say.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know. You want to quote it? So that we can
yeah. So which is it the part about so a lot of things I did earlier I wouldn't do career-wise and just risks that you take as a wild testosterone poisoned young man. I always think of testosterone as a toxin that you have to slowly work out of your system, he said.
Yeah, so it's really dumb because that's not how testosterone works. Like, if you didn't have testosterone, like this doesn't, like, everyone needs testosterone, even women need testosterone.
Yeah.
This don't need as much or have as much. And like, I think what he's trying to say here is that when you're younger, like, I don't know, kind of the shoot 'em up stuff is like more appealing. And when you get older, you want to have more sentimental, or I guess more like multi-layered works. I don't know, but I don't like when people like Jim Cameron, who are multi-millionaire several times over, who like shit on their old work that people like for some like political reason that made them that made, like, Terminator made him. I remember reading like how his mom would send him like coupons for double cheeseburgers at McDonald's, like, while he was making like, these movies made you, dude. Aliens, Terminator, was it True Lies or
True Lies,
Lies, like, and now to like sit back from on high and kind of shit on that really bothers me, because I don't like that. Like, even if like your perspectives can change, you can critique older work for different reasons. I think that's fine, but it kind of reminds me of like when Jim Carrey did Kick-Ass 2.
Yes.
And of course there was some shooting, because this is America, there's always a shooting. Yeah. And then he disavows it and disowns it. It's like, dude, what about all the people who worked on that movie who are really proud of that, who got their start? Like, maybe that was their first time holding the boom mic, or maybe it was their first time like doing the editing, or not the first. It's something that they like told their family and friends about. They went and bought tickets to the theater, or they took a date to the theater or something like that. Like, I worked on this, I'm proud of it. And he was disavowed because something happened in it, like somewhere else in real life, and that is violence and this is violent. So now it's like, that's so like Tipper Gore bullshit. Like, like, what do you, and just really shitty to the people around you, but you can afford to do that because you're rich. Exactly. Because you have this career and you have millions of dollars, and it's okay to do that. You can sacrifice politics for money, and still you got paid. You know, I must say, give your money back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Give the money back. Give the money back to the studio. Donate it to a victims fund or something. At least you can put your money where your mouth is there. Don't collect your paycheck and then shit on the work. Exactly.
I think also too, it's like, his early movies are terrific. And
wait, who are we talking about?
James Cameron.
Okay.
And the movies that he made, you know, I've listened to a lot of interviews with him, and I've listened to, like, you know, the director's like the commentaries, audio commentaries on his movies. Yeah. The dude, he took a lot of risks. Like, he was, you know, like he did a lot of kind of wild shit to pull off a lot of these movies. And like, you know, I don't want this to sound sexist or anything, but I mean, it's like, there are, you know, there's a reason why men on average, because there are exceptions, but men on average are more risk taking than women. And so it's just like, he did a lot of crazy shit to get his movies made. And the reason, and you know, I'm not saying that men are better than women, but it's like, dude, James Cameron, like, if you did not have as much testosterone back then, you would not have made those movies. You would not be renowned today if you did not take that big, crazy risk. So it's like, what do you do? What are you talking about? Like, if anything, like, if the exact opposite, I'd be like, hey, you know, I don't care if you're male or female. If you're a filmmaker and you have a crazy idea for a movie, go out and do something crazy. Like, you're young, like, might as well do it now before you get old.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just,
okay. So his filmography is longer than just his Wikipedia page. You have to click on the filmography, but look, he's extremely successful. He's made some like culture defining movies.
Yeah.
But dude, like, this is not as impressive as I thought it was.
Yeah, I know he's only made like 10 movies or something like this.
No, he's made a good, I mean, some, I guess he's not the director, writer. Let me see. Oh, you're right. You know, those are the ones he directed. Yeah, his movies are not like Terminator and Aliens, if you ask me. He did Piranha 2: The Spawning. I'm sure that's fucking Oscar worthy. And then Terminator Aliens. He crushes it, and he has a 2-3 year span where he nails it.
Yeah.
What's The Abyss?
Oh, you never seen The Abyss? That's a good one.
Oh, that's good. Okay.
Yeah, I definitely recommend checking that one out.
Okay. Then Terminator 2. Okay, Terminator 2 is good, but it is a sequel.
Yeah.
But it's a very good sequel. I'll give it
hell
that.
yeah.
True Lies. I know. I remember Jamie Lee Curtis in that. She was like the dance or whatever.
Yeah.
Titanic. Okay, so yeah, he has made a lot of bangers.
And also for a guy who hates testosterone, he sure likes to name his movies after TNA. Like,
yeah, right. I haven't seen Avatar, so I haven't seen one of his movies since 1997. Yeah. So that's like, right. Do you like Avatar?
I remember thinking it was a great theater experience because when I watched it in IMAX 3D. Okay. So it was like a really good roller coaster movie. But other than that, it's like I don't remember anything about the movie other than like, oh yeah, they were on the planet and they're like blue skinned people. I don't remember any characters' names or any line of dialogue.
I don't. Yeah, and I was actually listening to that today. People are like, I can't remember any of the characters or whatever. I'm not like he made amazing movies. I don't want to sound like just a negative.
Yeah, yeah.
Like he made some really like I said, culture defining movies. Titanic, Terminator, Aliens, and I love Aliens. Aliens is probably one of my favorite movies. I like it more than Alien. Yeah, I think they're very different movies, but I think Aliens is awesome.
Yeah,
but it's like I was just expecting. He kind of just sat on his laurels from 1997 to now.
Yeah.
I mean, Avatar.
He became obsessed with the water. He started going like he spent more time on the he started he spent more time on the Titanic than the original passengers of the Titanic. Like he became like obsessed with like submarines and going underwater and shit.
When you're a billionaire, I guess you can just like do that. I mean, he's a iconic director. And I don't know. I never saw Avatar when it came out. I was very much like stubborn conservative,
right?
Like, oh, this is just about like environmentalism and
and
like I'm not going to see it. And I thought like the people leaving the theater are like depressed because they wanted to live in that world. Where
I remember that.
Like, oh my god,
avatars.
yeah, exactly. And then it just like never. Even today, like I don't know, like nothing draws me to it. Like nothing makes me want to go throw it on. I don't know. Like I get it seems very basic, like the point.
Yeah. It's
like, okay, they're natives and they live this peaceful existence with natural resources that we want to go take. Like, of course I'm on their side. Like I'm like very anti-military industrial complex and destroying the environment now. But like, I don't need to go. I don't know. Like, it doesn't move the needle for me.
If you've seen any movie, you've probably seen Avatar in some form. Like,
it's kind of just fill in like corporation, military, like whatever it is, and
versus peace loving natives.
Yeah, peace loving natives. It's Fern Gully. Like I don't.
Fern Gully, Dances with Wolves. But I mean, I love the technical innovations, like the CGI is holds up really well. But other than that, it's sort of like but yeah.
Does a human bang one of them?
Well, he's a human in an avatar body, or like in the body of an alien, and he bangs another alien. So it's a little. It's not quite
an alien. So it's not like bestiality.
Nah. Now I
definitely don't want to see it.
What? So James Cameron's his first directing credit was Piranha 2, and there's actually kind of
swarming Piranha 2, the swarming.
The swarming, yeah,
get it right.
That was a Roger Corman production, and he got fired halfway through because I guess there's creative clashes, so he ended up not directing the rest of the movie.
But clashes for Piranha 2.
Piranha 2, I know. Can you believe like all these brilliant minds were working on that film?
Yeah.
So he got fired, and so there's been this long-standing rumor that after he was fired, he was breaking into the editing lab at night to like re-edit the movie. like according to his original vision. So that's always been a rumor. And so like decades later, when James Cameron, I think this is around the time that Avatar came out, and so he was doing the rounds on late night TV.
Yeah.
I think it's on Jimmy Kimmel. And so they asked him like, "Oh, so is it true that your first movie, Piranha 2, the spawning or whatever, that or the swarming or whatever the fuck it is, that you were breaking into the studio to re-edit the movie?" And then James Cameron's like, "I will neither confirm nor deny that rumor, but I will say that whoever was doing that was only doing it to make it better." So it's like, but I mean, like that was the sort of shit that he would do. Like he was such a stubborn guy. And it's like, yeah, if you didn't have that testosterone, you probably would not have made the Terminator. You would not have made Aliens. You would not have been like, hey, I'm going to cast
Spawning. You're right.
Yeah, the Spawning. Yeah. But yeah, like, like hearing all these cool stories, it's like, yeah, maybe there are times when he came off as like a stubborn, aggressive jerk, but it's like he had a really cool, unique vision. And so it's like, I'm glad that he had that testosterone to be like, nah, fuck it, I'm making the movie out my own way. I don't care if I have to manipulate people to do it.
I've heard like, and I don't want to get all into the trans stuff this episode, but like people they're like testimonials about, biological women, trans men who take testosterone, and they say it honestly feels like a superpower. I'm not even kidding. They're like, I've never felt so good. Yeah. like it's really crazy how, and that's why there's a reason, like in athletics and strength and speed and all of these things, also the organ size and all of that. But it has many benefits. Like, I don't think, like, don't get me wrong, I fucking hate, dude. And I've talked about, it's like, I grew up around so many testosterone addled, like crazy, like just steroid addicted douchebags. Yeah. And I hate those kind of guys. Like, I hate the fucking guy who like bumps into you and gets in your and all that shit. But it's like, I would rather have that than just a bunch of, and then deal with that than deal with like an entire population of just like soy boys. Yeah. Like that's not good for society.
Right.
Yeah. And it's actually like a privilege now that we don't have to, used to, that's all you wanted, or else you just get raided and fingered like by the Mongols. Yeah, exactly. That's if you're lucky. Yeah. Right.
What are you drinking? Why are you drinking on this podcast? It's supposed to be professional. What are you drinking?
MGD, one of my favorite beers.
Oh, nice.
I'm a big Miller guy.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I like a High Life.
High Life's good.
Genuine Draft. Miller Lite, but I don't like it as much as the others. But just like for like cheap domestic beer, out of the big ones, like I always go with Miller.
Nice.
Miller sponsor us.
We're all about that High Life.
I do. I actually love High Life. Well, there's this bar I go to in the city all the time. It's actually just called Dive Bar. And I love the Miller High Life there because it's just like, honestly, it's just cold. Yeah. Like they keep it, I guess, in the ice box or whatever. But I usually like to get draft when I go to a bar because, I'm in a bar, so I don't have that at home. Yeah. But I just really like how cold it is. I'm like, it actually makes a difference. It's like have a really cold beer.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
What can I say? I'm just a red blood American.
Yeah.
I like my beer cold and my homosexuals flaming. That's the Simpson line.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
It's there was are you familiar with Tim Dillon, comedian?
Am I familiar with Tim Dillon?
Have you heard of that guy?
I love Tim Dillon. I think he's fucking hysterical.
I
want to see him live. I want to see him live. Yeah.
There was a Joe Rogan episode. Tim Dillon was not on this one, but him. It was Joe Rogan, and it was Mark Normand, Shane Gillis, and Ari Shaffir.
They do a bunch. Well, they were doing a bunch for Sober October, I think.
Yes. Yeah. I think that's what it's for. Yeah. But there's an episode and they're talking about how Shane Gillis doesn't seem gay. And like, a lot of people don't think that he's gay.
No, Tim Dillon.
Yeah, Tim Dillon. Yeah. Like,
he's
not
gay.
Tim Dillon. Like, he doesn't seem gay. Like, he doesn't come off as gay at all. And they're like, oh yeah, no, he's gay. And then Shane Gillis is like, yeah, you know how I know he's gay? He fucks dudes. Like, oh yeah, that'll do it.
That'll do it.
And then they're like,
that's a dead giveaway.
And sometimes he even fucks them in their butts too. And then they're like, oh well, but maybe he takes it. And like, no, he gives it. And then Mark Normand's like, no, trust me, he takes it. Like the loud ones always take it. And then they're like, well, how do you know? And then Mark Normand goes, my dad.
That's such a good group. Mark Normand's really good at just like the one-liner.
Yes,
like, he's so good at that. He has really good one. I started listening to Shane Gillis' podcast too. Shane and fuck, I always feel bad for the other guy. Because I shouldn't feel bad for him. It's a very popular podcast, but Shane and someone's secret podcast.
Okay.
Oh, you don't know it? It's very good.
It's secret. I don't know about it. So I never heard of
it. They're a good group. But Tim Dillon is one of the best episodes. Is Tim Dillon, Joe Rogan, and Alex Jones.
Yeah.
And Tim Dillon's like he actually is really quiet during the vast majority of the episode, and he's like, I'm like a Make-A-Wish kid, Make-A-Wish Foundation kid right now. Like I'm feeding my hero.
Yeah, he was. I love when Shane. I'm sorry. Tim Dillon when he gets into like conspiracy theory stuff. Like he was on Lex Friedman and he talks a lot about that.
Oh, he was on Lex Friedman.
Yeah.
I cannot think of like a more different kind of approach than those two. I like Lex. I don't listen as much. Like I try and listen to some of the like robotic stuff and math stuff, and I do like some of it, but I can't do like 3 hours of it. But actually, coincidentally, I haven't listened in a while, and today I was listening to Lex and Michael Malice.
Oh they had a Christmas. They had a Christmas.
Yeah, I like them a lot. Like when they talk, they're really because they're both Russian background, or Michael Malice is Ukrainian background.
Yeah.
Both I think from Brooklyn. I think is Lex a New Yorker? I actually don't know.
I'm not
They're
sure.
both. I mean, they both live in Austin now, but like everyone else.
Yeah.
But anyway, do you want to move on from Jim Cameron?
Yeah.
What do you want to do now?
I want to do the Kirk Cameron thing.
Kirk Cameron.
Kirk Cameron. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this is pretty standard, just double standard, ridiculous.
And it sucks because I hate Kirk Cameron. He just comes off as
I don't really know him. I know the name, but
yeah. So he was on that show. What was that show? Was it Family Ties or
but how old was that?
That was from the early 90s. I actually liked that show as a kid. I can't remember what show it was. Yeah.
Family Ties. I get so many of those shows confused.
Yeah. God, what was that show?
So he's like a big Christian, like conservative Christian guy.
Yeah. And so the reason why I don't like him is he just comes off as very sanctimonious. And it's like I could not care less about what his actual political or religious views are. It's just
they're Christian.
But I mean it's just like it's just he's very proselytizing and just like very judgmental. And it's like, okay, like it's like you don't come off as just sort of like a religious right-wing person. You come off as like an 1980s, like, hey, turn off that rock and roll music, finish your homework and go say your prayers sort of thing. It's like the most like, anti-fun type of person. But I gotta defend him in this a little bit, where it's just sort of like, so the story is, I guess he just released a kid's book. And so he's trying to do like a story hour in library branches around the US. Yeah. And they've been rejecting him, or at least quite a few of them. And the real story though is that a lot of these libraries are saying, no, your book doesn't align with our values. But when you look at their values, it's like diversity and inclusion. So like they'll happily do drag queen story hour. But they won't let a guy come in and talk about the importance of like responsibility.
I mean, and that's the shit too. It's like it's the most, because it's like, I don't really, I don't like, I'm sure him and I would disagree about a lot of things too. Not some things, like some Christian things we would, but other things, no, like more political stuff, we probably wouldn't agree on them. But it's like the fucking liberals just make it so easy to hate them. Like from what you just said. Now, I would like to see, like, was there an actual library that had a drag queen story hour and then denied Kirk Cameron? And I know they all have the signs and LGBTQ, the alphabet, and DEI stuff. And it is ridiculous. And that was one of my biggest issues. Like at my college, there was something called like Unity House. Remember, I had a class in there once, like freshman year, like fall freshman year of college. I'm like at my most conservative. And you go in and it's like, well, it's black this, Muslim that, Jewish this, Indian that, and it's like nothing white or Christian. And it's like, that's not really unity. Like that's really unifying against something else. And like, who's that going to benefit? Like again, it's just dividing people. And it's like, well, the argument is, well, everything else is that. It's like, first of all, no, it's not. This is a liberal college campus in southeastern Pennsylvania. And it's like, okay, like right away, I'm like, you lose credibility when you talk about unity. It's like kind of the same thing. First of all, the library don't align with our value. Like, you're a public library.
Yeah, exactly.
So like people who pay taxes so you exist have lots of different values. Like, when do you get to decide the values? Like, to me, that's when I see something like that, like, that's where my mind starts going.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's like, do they have a right to turn him away? I mean, if it's not illegal,
right?
Like, you can go in a library. I remember learning in free speech when I took free speech class in law school. It's like, which was wild to me. Like, you can go to a library and just watch porn.
Exactly. Yeah.
So like, I can get hardcore porn up on a computer, but you can't talk about Jesus.
Yeah, exactly.
Children. It's like, my God, you wonder why so many people are like turning against these groups.
Exactly. So I have a quote here from one. This is one library worker, and they say, "We are a very queer-friendly library. Our messaging does not align." Interesting. Like, if Kirk Cameron's book was anti-LGBT, like, I can at least understand the clash, but it's sort of like, it's just, from what I understand about the book, it's just sort of like instilling, sort of straightforward values to kids. It doesn't seem like, we're going to talk about, men are men, women are women. It's like, but it's like, it just seems like a very harmless book.
Yeah.
And I think at the very least, the library should be consistent, where it's like, we don't want anything that's political or religious or ideologically driven here. But it's like, it's like, what, you're in favor of one ideology, but you're against the other. And it's like, so I don't know, there's just no consistency. That's what really bothers me there.
Yeah, I mean, that's an easy one. Like, it's I'm sure there could be some kind of lawsuit, but that's not what he's going for. Like, he is going, and when conservatives do this, just like liberals do this in some ways too, with like the Colorado wedding cake baker, like that famous case that has been in the news again because of another Colorado case about free speech. It's like, these people don't actually want a wedding cake from this guy. Like, they want to prove a point. They want to punish him. It's like, and the conservatives do this too. It's like, you go into these spaces knowing that you're not wanted to prove, really, to signal to your base, like, I'm fighting back, which I get. Like, I get it.
Yeah.
But I don't know how much he like actually wants to give this talk at this, library. I think there would be plenty that would have him. It's to fire up your base and like get more support, because people like to support a martyr. Like, they like to support a victim.
Right.
And if he's owning the libs or fighting back against the libs, it's lucrative.
Yeah, it's definitely something that is easy to capitalize on. Like, I think it was in the early 70s. There was one of those blaxploitation movies. I think it was called Sweetbacks.
I don't know.
Let me look at it real quick, because it has kind of a cool name. Sweet.
What are like the most famous blaxploitation movies?
There's like Cleopatra Jones and Foxy Brown.
I know Foxy Brown. Yeah.
Was
that Pam Grier?
Yeah.
It
was a Sweetback's Badass song. And it's cool, like the way that, and like the badass is spelled BAADASSSSSS, like the badass song. So this movie came out in 1971, and one of the taglines for that movie, I'm pretty sure it was this movie, but the tagline was "Rated X by an all-white jury."
Yes. Awesome.
But it's like, even though that was technically not true, but like, it was just sort of like, I think this is the movie that the man doesn't want you to see, sort of thing. It's like, it's easy to get your base fired up. And also, good. In the 1980s, in the wake of like the PMRC, the Tipper Gore, that whole thing, some heavy metal bands were capitalizing on the parental advisory sticker thing. They were using it. So this is actually kind of interesting. So my dad worked with a guy who used to work for, I think his name was Paul Graham. Anyway, or no, it was Billy Graham. So Billy Graham was a big concert promoter in the 60s and 70s. And so this guy that my dad worked with, he used to sell, I think he did like merchandising for Billy Graham or something. And so my dad came home, I was like 15 or something. He came home with a bunch of records, and it's just all genres. Goes, hey, we don't listen to the records, but you can get your first pick. So pick what you want. And there's a bunch of like 80s heavy metal stuff, like Dokken and Wasp and Van Halen and shit. And there's a sticker, like a little stamp in the corner of all these records. And it said, not for commercial use, for promotional use only. So these records were for radios. They were sent to radio stations. stations to promote the album.
Gotcha.
And there so many of these records were in really good condition, and they had like the inserts and posters and stuff inside, so they're all like in really good condition. Anyway, so there's one. I think it was for a Dawkins record, but like it had like, coming out next year, we have album coming out from Madonna, from so-and-so, blah, blah, blah. And there was one, I think it was Lizzie Borden. It was an announcement for the record. And then it said, parental advisory, whatever. But it's like, it was highlighted like, careful, Timber Court doesn't want you to listen to this sort of thing. But it's just like, when you ban something, it makes it so easy for you to kind of be like, hey, look at, we're the ones that, the establishment doesn't want you to pay attention to.
Yeah. It's when you already have a base.
Yeah.
You don't need necessarily to expand your reach. You just need to satisfy your base. Yeah. Like that's definitely, it's like, oh, well, if this group doesn't like me, well, I'm not trying to win them over anyway.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to keep my base. And you see this, and this can be obnoxious. You see this a lot with like Twitter accounts, like blocked by so-and-so, and both, and Republicans do this, Democrats do this. It's like, blocked by Trump, blocked by,
Stephen King,
some resistance lib or something, some blue wave thing. And it's like, all right, I don't like why you're putting that.
Yeah, exactly. But and what's the other thing?
Was your dad in like the showbiz?
No. So when I say my dad worked at a machine shop, and so like it was just some dude who's like, oh, back in the 70s, I used to work for Billy Graham. I used to sell T-shirts, and so I got all these free records.
Oh, gotcha.
So it was just some random thing, but that was cool. I still have all those records too. What was?
Do you have a record player?
I do. It's like that suitcase thing that opens up, and it's all in one unit thing. Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Do you want to do? So we had the punk band.
Yeah, the Slaves.
I could sum that up in one sentence. That's not very punk.
Yeah, seriously, man. So I got the quote here. So this is in the New York Post. When we called our band Slaves, it was intended solely as a reference to the grind of day-to-day life. They continued, as younger men, we responded to criticism of the name from a place of fear and defensiveness. Feeling backed into a corner, our own pride caused us to fight for a name we weren't even sure we wanted anymore. It felt at times as if our band name had defined us, and we were scared of what might happen if we changed it. However, we now recognize that our original intent doesn't change the fact that the name Slaves is an issue. Oh, God. So they caved to the establishment.
Yeah, and it's like, dude, that's so fucking not punk rock.
Yeah.
Like, see, that's that's like the one rule of punk rock is to not cave to the establishment.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's what they did. Like, man, what? First of all, Slaves, it's like their symbol isn't, their emblem isn't like a picture of Dred Scott or something. Like it's not even like everyone has been a slave.
Yeah.
Like, all types of people have been slaves. White, Anglo, British people were slaves to the Romans. Like it's the same. I mean, that was after them, but like you could just say it's just the term slaves has been used all over the world. Why does it always? I feel like this is just. I mean, yeah, the British Empire had slaves, but I feel like when slavery ever comes up, it's always like in the American context, which was a vile, horrific, like chattel, brutal slavery. Yeah. But like, there's been all different types of slavery.
Yeah, and of cultures enslaving their own. So it wasn't even like one was dominating. It's like no, like like when you look at Mayans and Aztecs, like they had slaves that were Mayans and Aztecs. Like
exactly, like people enslaved, and it's so dumb. And like, this is one of those ones that would be so easy just to be like, oh, like fuck the haters. Like we're a punk rock band. Like punk rock bands. Now this is a good thing. Used to like wear swastikas and shit.
Yeah.
And like do crazy antics and stuff in the 70s and like and were really like at least they stood for something, even if those things were fucked up. Like they came into the established like pressure that's so not punk rock.
Exactly.
And really, I don't know. This one to me, it was just like right away, I was like, oh, this is just dumb. What about Audio Slave? Like Audio Slave didn't change their name, right?
Yeah. No, not that I know of. Yeah. No, it's ridiculous. It's like that sort of 6 degrees of bigotry sort of thing, where it's like you have to like really go out of your way to find like how something can be problematic. Like it wasn't too long ago. David Lee Roth got rid of the Lee in his name because General Lee, like, it's like, or the Dixie Chicks. Now they're just the Chicks.
Wait, David Lee Roth, isn't that his name?
Yeah. Well, and he announced like, from now I'm just David Roth.
Oh my God, that is so like penetrating.
What about all those Asians though? There are a lot of Asians who have the last name Lee? Like,
it doesn't matter. Like, Robert Lee wasn't the only fucking person with the name Robert, like with the name Lee.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like
Stan Lee.
Is Dave? Yeah, Stan Lee. Like what?
Like David Lee Roth people.
Is David Lee Roth his like, like his name, like the name he was given?
I believe so. Yeah.
That is
and then the Dixie Chicks. Now they're just the Chicks.
I didn't know that
because they're not like Dixie. You know, the Dixie.
Yeah, they're also dumbasses, but they got screwed a while ago when they came out against like President Bush.
Yeah,
against George Bush. And it's like, you guys are from Texas. That is dumb. Like, that's a dumb business decision. Yeah, the Dixie Chicks, dude. One of my favorite beers was called Dixie Beer, like a New Orleans icon.
Yeah,
everyone drank it. Yeah. You watch commercials, black people are drinking it. Like, everyone drank this. It's in A Confederacy of Dunces in one of the first chapters.
Yeah,
you know, it's something that's like very New Orleans. Like, you don't see Dixie in other places.
Yeah,
and it was named that for, I think, 110 years or something. And of course, during the summer 2020, they said they're changing it, and they changed it. Now I won't buy it. It's like some dumb gentrified name, like Marigny or Beer or something like that, which is the name of a neighborhood there. It's like Dixie. Like, no one. First of all, Dixie is just means the South. It means Dixon, like Mason-Dixon line. It just means the South.
Yep.
It's a geographic area that exists.
Yep.
And as much as some of us might not like it. I'm kidding.
Yeah,
like, it exists. And also, Dixie was used in New Orleans a lot because of the French speakers. And Dix, D-I-X, a Dix was like a 10 bank note. Because that's what they would use for like 10. And that's where part of the name comes from. Because it was both. It was from the South.
Yeah,
New Orleans was the heart of the South for a while until Atlanta kind of took that over.
Yeah,
and then because of that, so like has actually a not racist, just like a historic kind of very tailored to reason to have that name in that area. Like, even if you go to like one of the, like on Bourbon or Royal Street, there's a bank that has like a plaque that says this stuff, and of course it's just it's summer 2020, so we have to make dumb rash decisions. Same thing with like, and I know I'm going on tangent here. Last one I'll say, one of the dumbest ones to me. I'm a huge fan of college football. I love college football, and I love the rivalry games. I think that's what's one of the really cool things about college football, is that you have like these universities that go back 100 years or sometimes more, where they've been playing these games that might be in the same state, might be bordering states or whatever. It's like Oregon State. Oregon and Oregon State, their rivalry game was called Civil War, a very generic term.
Yeah.
There have been civil wars since there have been societies, civilizations, right? Like Sumer and could have fought, and it might have been a civil war if it was in the same kingdom or whatever the fuck it was.
Yeah.
Like, and the state of Oregon was not even in the Civil War. Like, it didn't exist yet as a state. It wasn't a northern state. It wasn't a southern state. It was a territory. Like, it wasn't even, so like, and of course they changed the name in the summer of 2020. It doesn't make any sense. Like, Civil War just means like a war within a group.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's like
it's a fucking Marvel movie. There's a Marvel movie called Civil War.
And it's just so, it's like just so dumb that I don't get it. That makes me mad that no one just goes like, no, how about not? Like, how about we don't just cave to the handful of loud screeching voices and just say like, no, okay. It's like, okay, we hear you. You're concerned that we're promoting like the Civil War somehow, but we're not. It's because it's Oregon versus Oregon State. We're in the same state, and we're like brother schools or sister schools or whatever. And we play football once a year. Yeah. Yeah. So it's a fun, cheeky name. It has nothing to do with the abolition or the retention of slavery. Like, that's nothing to do with that.
It's like it's the state Confederates versus the state abolitionists or anything.
It's like so fucking dumb. I don't get it. It makes me so mad.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's, like I said, it's like the 6 degrees of bigotry, where it's like you have to like connect the dots. It's like, oh, see, like there's racism over here.
Yeah.
That's
and if you disprove one, then they'll just find another reason. It'll be internalized racism. Like another college football one was there's like the Florida Gators. One of their things is called Gator bait, like calling it Gator bait, like the other team's Gator bait because we're going to eat you up. Like we're going to beat you. We're the Florida Gators. We're a big SEC program. And of course, summer 2020, it's like, well, this term was actually used when slaveholders would throw black babies into the river, Gator bait. And it's like, first of all, the player who popularized Gator bait was a black player. Had nothing to do, like he was not promoting the murder of black slave children. Like it had nothing to do with that. It was because it was a fun thing to say. And it was not like not a single person in the history of saying that thought, oh yeah, I'm going to say this because I want the Confederacy to come back. Like it makes like, and I think they do still say it or whatever, but of course it was like a whole thing. Like a whole like, oh well, here's the racist history. I can already I couldn't make up the NPR headline right now, like the unknown, like the little known racist history of the term Gator bait at the University of Florida.
Yeah, or Vox, like the racist history behind this sports team's name explained.
Yes, like explained, and we're gonna cherry pick and edit and completely give one side out of many sides to make our point.
I think I brought this example up at some point in a previous episode, but there's a comedian, I think it was Chris D'Elia, before he got Me Too'd. But he went on Joe Rogan and he was talking about how he was doing a corporate gig. He was doing a show in front of some corporate event. And so he was talking to the organizers of the event saying, hey, are there certain topics that I shouldn't say? Should I keep the swearing down? Blah, blah, blah. And so, yeah, pretty much anything's off limits. Pretty much everything's off limits. However, just don't use the term auction. He goes, how come I not auction? He's like, oh, because it has a sort of, connotation of slaves and slavery. And he's like, what are you talking? Like, that's like when you say the word auction today, you like, hey, number 3.
Like, you think as a southern what you were doing, but also like not Sotheby's. Is it Sotheby's?
Yeah, they're
the big
auction.
The big auction houses. Yeah. You think like art, like pieces of art or old family heirlooms,
or real estate, but it's just like nobody today thinks, oh, when you say the word auction, like, oh, you're talking about slaves, huh? You're talking about humans.
You're selling people.
I gotcha. It's like, but and this is like back, before you got Me Too. So this is probably like 2016, 2017. So it's like even then people were finding excuses to find like to problematize some common everyday thing that has no real racist connotations today. And it could be problematic to a handful of people, so don't say it.
And I don't even think it would be problematic to a handful of people. It's like it's just I don't know. It's very alienating, and I really dislike when people fuck with language, because language is beautiful, and everyone just wants to keep cutting back on it. Like and we've talked about this, like the words I won't say anymore, and there are a handful of them. And I have my reasons for it, but like I'm not stopping saying certain words. Like I like saying spaz. I like calling my cats a spaz. When my cat has the zoomies, I say you're a little spaz, and I've never once said that word in my life making fun of a disabled person. Like I didn't even know that. I did not. I swear to God, I did not know that was a thing until the whole was it
that rapper chick we talked about.
I
can't remember her name. The Stallion chick or
no, not Megan the. I do get them confused. Megan the Stallion and Lilo. No,
I don't remember. But we talking. Everyone go check out those
Lizzo.
That's who it was. Yeah,
Lizzo. It's like, or Beyonce was one too.
Yeah, that's right.
I forget what she said. It's like spaz. Like what? Like being spastic now is making fun of. Like anyone could be spastic. You could be spastic if a bee gets in your car or something. You could be spastic if you sit on a tack.
Yeah, my dad called me spaz a lot when I was young. It's like because I'm pretty clumsy, so it's like I fumbled over something. Like,
so I'm not going to say. And another one is one of the ones that bothers me is you guys.
Oh, yeah.
like that's just there are like maps that show. First of all, I'm not saying y'all. Like I've lived in the South. I'm not saying y'all. It sounds so unnatural to me. Like, I feel like a poser. And it's like, well, in New Jersey that we have the third person plurals youds, but then I'm going to sound like a said Gorilla Guido. Like, I'm not, like Yude's guys. Like I'm gonna sound like my cousin Vinny.
Yeah.
So it's like you guys like that. I'm sorry, that's language. Like,
right.
And I do think this is an issue. Is that for males we have boys, we have men, then we have guys. Like we have that.
Yeah.
But like the problem is that we don't have that for girls.
Right.
Like chicks, no. We have girls, we have women, but there's not that like informal in between thing. And I think that's what the problem is.
Yeah.
It's like if we just had that, then it wouldn't be an issue. Yeah. But it's like, well, because we're missing that. When you say guys, it's assumed that it's men. It's like, no, that's just language.
Yeah.
It's just signifying that I'm talking to more than one person informally.
I remember a few years ago, it was a video that went viral, and it was from that website Now This, and they put out these dumb short explainer videos of things. Like for the most part, it was and sometimes like they were often interesting, like, oh, here's why this thing does, just some interesting trivia sort of thing. But there was some dumb like millennial chick who was just like, here's why the term guys is very exclusive and not very inclusive and blah blah blah. And so she goes on this long sort of dumb rant about how guys is sexist and blah blah blah. And then she ends the video by saying, hey everyone, thanks guys for listening. It's like that would have been like a great Babylon Bee sketch.
Yeah.
Like, but like,
how did they not edit that out?
I know exactly. It's like, hey everyone, thanks for coming. I really appreciate it, guys. And it's just like...
That's so funny. That's so funny that like it stayed up long enough for you. Unless you're like one of the first people to see it. It stayed up long enough. That's really good. Yeah, it's just like there's, and this is kind of, I know I bring her up a lot because I really liked our episode with her, Kimmy Katiti. It's like if you go looking for everything all the time, the racism, the sexism, the bigot, like you're gonna find it, whether it exists or not. Like I'm not saying that they're like, I don't mean to say like underneath everything these things exist. It's more of like you're gonna find it because you're gonna conjure it. Like you're gonna see it everywhere, even though it doesn't exist in almost all of those situations. Most things are like either an honest mistake or like don't have the intent, which doesn't always excuse it. Like it's like, oh, I didn't know that the N-word was bad. It's like, no, like there are some things that you have to know, but like a lot of it's just to communicate, to get a point across, to like that's what language is. It's to literally communicate with one another. And I really don't like that a contingent of this population is trying to restrict that more and more and more and find problems with everything. That was one like you got, and people are saying folks now. That's the thing. One, I hate the term folks. I don't like saying it. It makes my mouth feel weird. Like I'm not doing that. It's also like very Germanic, so like racist. But like I don't know. I say you guys because I'm from New Jersey. If I was from Georgia, I would say y'all. Like I'm not you. I know like Kentucky's like you all. Like I had a professor from Kentucky in law school, and he would say you all, and like that was very much where he's from.
Right.
But I'm not saying that either because it's not natural to me.
Yeah, well, I mean, you and I, we are writers, so we don't suffer the ghosts of dead definitions lightly.
I know.
But yeah, man, it's so funny, like that urge to find everything offensive. You might have seen this. This is from like a few weeks ago, but some woman posted. I think she was a nurse or a doctor, and she was talking about how her and another female coworker, they were working on something, and they were in an office together, and then like a male coworker came in and said, hey, you girls are doing a great job, or something like that, and then she got offended by the term girls. She thought it was like,
that's what I'm saying, is that because they don't have there's no guys for girls.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like, it's also awkward.
Guys.
It's also like it's awkward to say, hey, you women are doing a great job. That sounds like, but it's like, but flip it. It's like if you and I were working in an office and then a female coworker say, hey, you boys are doing a great job. It's like, I wouldn't be bothered by that. It's like, oh, how dare you call me a boy? I'm not a boy.
Well, the thing is that it wouldn't sound natural because we have guys.
Exactly.
Like that's like that kind of is the point I'm making.
Yeah.
Is that person, that man who walked in to two women doing their job, yet you women are like that sounds like what we couldn't do because we're women. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Girls sounds infantilizing and kind of creepy. Like, you girls are doing a great job. Like, but because they don't have that,
right,
like that guy's equivalent,
right.
So we just have to make that, and then it's. I mean, other like the things that other languages deal with this. Like English just doesn't, because other languages have have rules. They have like Spanish. That you would say vosotras if you were saying, if it was Spain Spanish, which I speak, the Castilian Spanish. It would be, I mean, it'd be a status anyway, but vosotras, if it was two men, it'd be vosotros, and if it was both, I mean, it'd be vosotros too. Now, I don't know how those languages are dealing with that. I don't think they're saying tricks. Like, I honestly don't know, because I think that's just their language. There's a funny meme once. It was like since, like, this girl was like, since when do words have genders? And it's like every other language in the world, which isn't true. Like, a lot of languages actually don't have genders, but like a lot do. Like all the Romance languages do. I think Germanic languages do. I'm not positive. Greek does. I know Greek does because I studied Greek. Some don't. I know Turkish doesn't and Japanese doesn't, which I wish languages didn't. It's annoying actually to deal with, but these are their languages, and it's very colonial thinking to impose your colonial views on these languages. So like, I don't know, they figured it out. And like Greek has neuter. I know that, like, they have like neither male or female. Greek's very, very difficult.
Yeah, it's funny, and this keeps coming from the group that bitches about colonizing, colonialism. But it's like, what you're trying to do is actually very colonial. I just real quick, as
they move to Mexico City to get a cheaper apartment and work from their laptop and learn the language, and
I just saw this this tweet. It was it has this dude. He looks, I don't know if he's Hispanic or Black or something. I don't know. He looks ethnic, I guess. And he's all like,
that's not what you should say.
I don't know what the best way.
That was the worst option.
I don't know. Maybe he's Hispanic. I can't tell. I mean, like, these are pixelated pictures.
Latinx. So you can't go wrong with Latinx.
There's this dude, and he looks, because I don't want to say of color either, because that sounds even worse.
Don't say that one.
I know, but anyway, it's part of the joke though. It's two pics. It's like a before and after, and so it looks like it was posted by this one girl, who looks white. And she goes, before I met him and after we started dating. And before I met him, he's sitting in a chair and he's drinking. He's got long hair. He looks kind of shaggy. And then it says, after we started dating, and now he's wearing a pink polo shirt. He's got short hair and glasses. And then somebody responded, homeboy got colonized. What the fuck?
Did his skin get lighter?
A little bit, but it could be because of the lighting. Because in the one where he's all shaggy, he's like in the it's like in the shade. But it's just like, homeboy got colonized. What the fuck?
Yeah, man, I know. And this is like, I'm not giving up, you guys. Like, we've been saying it, and no one, like, everyone just says this to each other. I hear girls say it to other girls.
Yeah,
like women say it to, like, one woman saying it to a group of 3 women. Like, hey, what are you guys doing tonight? Like, no one, or not no one, but a very small percentage takes umbrage with that.
Yeah.
Like, it's so dumb, and I hate this, like, constant policing of language.
Yeah.
I would love to see, I kind of want to do an experiment. Is John Leguizamo from New York? I think he's a New York Latino, right?
I think so.
I think so too. I want to go to his neighborhood because he's a big Latinx proponent.
Yeah.
Because he's not around Latinx people anymore. He's rich and has all white friends.
Yeah.
And a few black friends. I want to go to his neighborhood because I go to the city a lot. I want to do like an experiment, like go to his neighborhood and just ask people.
Yeah.
Because he's Puerto Rican, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, they're like the whitest Latinos anyway. I'm kidding.
He's Benny Blanco from the Bronx. Did you ever see Carlito's Way that he was in?
I don't think so, actually. I know it, but I don't.
It's a good movie. Al Pacino plays it really bad.
First of all, he plays Mario, which is one of like the most iconic Italian
I know. Yeah.
Italian characters. Yeah, doesn't matter that he was made up by a Japanese person, but
yeah.
So
that's fine. Mario's a melting pot. That's fine.
No, he's not. He's ours. Does not have Puerto Rican? Oh, he's only Colombian. He does not have Puerto Rican, Italian, and Lebanese ancestry, as he sometimes stated.
Oh.
Boring. Oh, he's from Jackson Heights. I'm not going out there. That's too far.
Where's Jackson Heights?
Queens.
Oh.
If he was like, I probably won't go to East Harlem either. I don't want to get killed.
Yeah.
If he was like, maybe I'd go. I don't know. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
East Harlem. That used to be Italian Harlem, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, East Harlem was called Italian Harlem. People are like, because Little Italy, when you come to the city, which I hope will be one day, like Little Italy isn't like a thing anymore. Like it is, but it's like Disney World. It's like made up. I'm sure some of those stores are owned. Like going back, like Italians don't live there anymore. I think they did a study of like maybe 0%, and it was like 5% 10 years ago or something. But like you want to see like real Italian New York is like you go to East Harlem, some pockets of it, but now it's almost entirely Latino. Spanish Harlem. Well, now it's called Spanish Harlem. Yeah, that used to be Italian Harlem.
We are an invasive culture.
Well, you're a bunch of conquistadors mixed with Aztecs, so not a great combo.
Oh man!
Like, do I want to die by an inquisition, or do I want to die being sacrificed to the sun god? It's like, pick your poison.
I like the term invasive speech. It was back in 2016, I think. It was during the election, and there was some Hispanic guy, and he was like president of the local chapter of Latinos for Trump or something.
Yeah.
And he's like, see, like the Mexicans, like we're a very invasive culture. So so it goes, if Hillary wins and we have open borders, like there's gonna be a taco truck on every corner, and then people are just like, are you saying that's a bad thing? Like, because that doesn't sound too bad. Like it's like we're an invasive culture.
I would actually love to have a taco truck down the street from me. That'd be dope. But
I know you're giving jobs to immigrants. What's the problem? Like it seems like you're solving two problems at once. But yeah. Anyway. So this was an episode of.
I might go to Jackson Heights. I'm never in Queens.
What's in Queens? Spider-Man lives in Queens.
There's a lot of people in Queens. Is massive.
No,
Spider-Man does live in Queens.
Yes,
right?
He does. Yeah.
Spider-Man lives in Queens. Queens. I almost went to college in Queens. Excuse me, law school in Queens. Actually, I got into a school there. Have you
heard Fred Armisen doing the different New York accents?
No,
because I always just assumed that it was like one just sort of generic New York accent, but it's like no, yeah, like each has
Brooklyn's known for an accent, the Brooklynese accent, which I had a lot. Like I feel like not a lot, but a handful of kids moved from Brooklyn to my neighborhood in North Jersey, my town. I shouldn't say my neighborhood, my town, because we had a big Eastern European population. I think I've talked about this before. There was this apartment complex across from my high school that we called Little Moscow. Turns out they were all Ukrainians. So that's kind of insensitive. but they didn't correct us. Like I swear to God, it took me like years after. I was like, wait, they were all Ukrainians. Like it would have been a little Kiev, but whatever. A lot of them came from like South Brooklyn, which is huge Ukrainian and Russian populations. Little Ukraine, actually, there is a little Ukraine in East Village, which I go to. I was there last weekend. But some have the accent, and Queens is it's like one of the, like Queens and Jersey City are like the most diverse places in the country. So they have like everything, like every single group you could find. Like Astoria was always known for Greeks, like a lot of Greeks, a lot of Indians, and Pakistanis and different Asians and Jewish and Irish, like all. Do you ever listen to the last podcast on the left?
I don't
know that
think
podcast.
So.
I'm a big fan of theirs. One of the co-hosts, ironically, the co-host from Queens, from New York, lives in LA, and the two from not New York live in New York. But
that's fine.
He's from Queens, and he's Polish.
Nice.
Anyway, Queens is kind of like, it's like got everyone, like you get a little bit of everything.
Spider-Man,
Peter Parker,
because
Captain America's from Brooklyn.
That's right.
And Spider-Man's from Queens.
Yeah.
Queens is massive, big mix of people, big mix of like suburbs and city and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I don't do outer boroughs. I'm kidding. I mean, I don't, but I would, but I don't have a reason to go to really Brooklyn. I'll say one story before I get off. I went to Williamsburg. Do you know Williamsburg has a reputation?
Yeah, I've heard it's pretty hipster, isn't it?
That's the thing. Yes, it's a neighborhood in Brooklyn known for being extremely hipster, also extremely Jewish, like Orthodox Jewish, like one of the few neighborhoods that votes for Trump, voted for Trump, in New York City, but like also very hipster. I remember once I went and I got a cup of coffee, and I asked for milk, and they were like oat milk, almond milk, and I was like, no, just like milk. Yeah, and the barista just kind of looks at me and like takes the thing of milk and just like puts it on the counter, like turns away. I was like, I can't even like pour this for you. I'm so disgusted. I was like, oh my God, I feel so emasculated right now. I pour my own milk in my coffee. And then they flip the thing around. It's like 15%, 20%, 25%. Like, fuck you.
That sucks.
So that's why I don't go back to Williamsburg anymore.
Yeah, I don't blame you, man. Yeah. Sounds pretty bad. But yeah, you should just move to LA. We're not like that.
To LA?
Yeah, we are. Yeah, we are like that, actually.
Dude, LA's, I can't do the traffic. I can't do the driving everywhere. Like the drive, it's too much.
I know.
If I got like a house on the beach in Malibu, I would do LA.
Yeah,
that's it. That's
the
that.
Traffic.
I mean,
the traffic sucks for sure. But like if you're driving like past midnight, it's not too bad.
Yeah, but until I get dragged out of my car and murdered.
But every once in a while, like for the most part, like if I'm coming back from like the Sunset Strip on a Friday or Saturday night and it's past midnight. Then for the most part, it's not too bad. But once in a big while, it'll be like when there's no traffic, it's like, okay, 25 minutes from home, not too bad. But then once in a while, but fuck, 47 minutes, and it's like, come on, like it's 2 a.m. Like, come on.
No way, man. You guys got to figure that shit out there.
I know. Hey, real quick though, I want to say, so I don't know if you've heard of this guitarist. His name was Michelangelo Badio. He was from the 80s. He was really big in the 80s. I wouldn't even say he was that big. He was infamous on the Sunset Strip because he was ambidextrous. He can play. Oh. He had a guitar that had 4 necks. It was like an X-shaped guitar. And he would spin it around, like the most excessive guitarist of all time. Like he's like and super fast. He's not a very artful guitarist, but he is very. I mean, it's like it's a special effects movie where it's like I'm not here for the art. I'm just here for the explosion. Just thrill me with your guitar antics. Yeah. And he was part of a band called Nitro, and the singer had a super high pitched voice. Yeah. They were actually featured a little bit on MythBusters because there was a myth that the singer would go up on stage and he would shatter a glass with his voice alone. And so they actually proved that was actually true. You could actually do that.
Really?
Yeah. Wow. But anyway, so I saw him last Saturday night on the Sunset at the Viper Room on the Sunset.
Still doing it?
Yeah, not with Nitro, but yeah, he's pretty old. I got my picture taken with him. But yeah, he brought a two-necked guitar, and so he's playing both. And he started playing the intro to an Iron Maiden song. What's the one?
The Soldier.
Yeah. So he's playing that because it has
one of my favorite songs.
Yeah, it's cool. I'll send you the video, but like it's cool because it has harmonized guitar.
The Trooper.
Yes,
yeah, my bad. The Trooper.
But it has a harmonized guitar, so he's playing both parts on the guitar at the same time.
Yeah. That's one of my favorite opening riffs.
He only played the opening riff, but it's like like that's what I want. Like just give me just show off.
The Viper Room still exists?
Yeah, it still exists.
Did they rename it back to the Viper Room?
It's still the Viper Room. It's always been the Viper Room. What I heard though, my roommate sent me a thing because that there were plans to tear it down, but because they're gonna put like an apartment building, but they're gonna have a new Viper Room, like kind of like part of this new fancy luxury hotel thing. I heard that they were gonna close it down this year, but it's still open. They're still doing shows, so I don't know if it got delayed or they canceled the project.
Now I'm thinking about it. I guess I did see it when I was there. Right? It's on.
Yeah, we passed by it. Yeah.
Yeah, man, I liked LA. It's LA. Like it's an iconic American city. I just can't do the fucking traffic. Like that's it. It's so brutal. Yeah. Or if you got me a house in the
like Beverly Hills.
That's fine. But the canals, the Venice canals.
Oh, that's right.
That's one of my favorite. That is one of my favorite places, like in America.
Yeah,
I would love to live there. Like I'd fuck you money. Like I can live wherever, just buy property. Like that, I'd buy a house there.
Hell yeah.
So man. Cool.
That was super. And remember, they had like rafts, so like people were just like they had like tables and stuff. So it's like people were playing poker. Like
it's almost one of those things where it's like I'm angry that this exists because I don't get it. Like my Leninism comes out. It's like these motherfuckers. Like I want to live here. Like I'm mad that other people get this.
Well, sort of like the exact opposite for me, but like but the same end result where it's like, man, I gotta like lie and cheat and steal so I can become that wealthy. Like ultra capitalist.
That's the better attitude to have. But at least trying to attain that, I'm just like, burn this fucker down. I don't let it know. No, in all seriousness, that was like one of the coolest neighborhoods I've ever been to. Yeah, I loved that. Beverly Hills is great too, but Beverly Hills is just like, it's beautiful, but there's a lot of beautiful neighborhoods throughout America. Like it's cool. Yeah. It's cool because it does feel like a little oasis in LA. Like you can tell the difference. There's these manicured lawns and it's hilly and it's gorgeous. And that is very cool. But if it was like, if I had to live in LA and I could buy whatever I wanted, like money's not an option, it would be Malibu or the Venetian, the canals.
I saw a meme somebody posted and it was like, here's your Beverly Hills boyfriend. And it's like, and his guy is wearing a fancy suit and everything. Yeah. And here's your Highland Park boyfriend. And it was like the same exact, it's the same exact guy, but he's all like shaggy and like long hair and all trashy and shit. Like, oh man, I live in that neighborhood.
I have a friend who lives in LA and he sends me memes because he knows like you, like my connection to you, and he's asked where you live, and I said Highland Park, and he sends me memes about like Highland Park all the time. like the same kind of thing, like different neighborhoods. Different neighborhoods. There's a funny one with Ryan Gosling, like all the different like the neighborhoods. It'll be like the Ryan Gosling in the Barbie movie. That's like West Hollywood, or like the Orange County one is him in the Nazi shirt, where he's and the Believer, he's like the swastika T-shirt. And all different, like Ryan. Those are the only two I remember. Like the different Ryan Goslings. How there's like a Ryan Gosling for every neighborhood. Yeah. What Highland Park? Yeah, Highland Park. I mean, I'm sure I'll be at my girlfriend's sister lives in LA in the Valley somewhere, so I'm sure I'll be out there at some point again soon.
I'll end up in your neck of the woods at some point soon.
You definitely, man. I think you'd like New Jersey because it is different. And we have a cool culture down here. Where I am is like I think a fun culture. Like Southeast New Jersey is you have the boardwalk and the beach, and you have these like kind of, it has a lot of like wineries and old towns and classic bars and restaurants, a lot of seafood stuff, and then there's Philly not far where I have a lot of friends. It's a cool area. It's unique, and I like that.
Yeah, one of these days, man.
One of these days. Yeah, you've never been east of Texas, right?
I think after you come to LA a few more times, I think maybe at some point I'll head to Texas and then you can meet me there and then we can
we could do like a meet in Austin thing.
That'd be cool,
then hang out with Anthony and
and then Alma's boyfriend is from Texas as well, so maybe we can do a reckless news.
I was thinking we should just like crash Alma's town in North Dakota.
just show up.
Do you know the town? If we were just like, Alma, we're here, we're doing an episode.
I think it's Galveston,
I would love or something. Galveston, North Dakota.
I think so. Yeah, I think that's what it said on
that's
Twitter.
Galveston, Texas.
I
don't know.
Where do you
live? I would love to go to North Dakota. It's a big, beautiful country. I want to go to all different parts of it. Do you ever
Williston, North Dakota.
Oh, Williston. Do you ever remember Tourette's guy? He was like early kind of internet sensation. He died.
Oh, I don't think I remember.
No, I'll send it to you. He was funny. He was from North Dakota. He was this guy who had Tourette's, was cursing all the time. It was really funny. Yeah. His son would record him, and he leaned into it. Like, it was just a guy swearing a lot, but it was really funny.
We'll have to ask Alma about him.
No, he died a while ago.
Oh, okay. We'll forget it.
Yeah. All right. On that note.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Tourette's guy. Yeah. You gave me a lot of joy in 2010.
And rest in peace, the Reckless Musecast episode 57.
Yeah.
This will be the only one that we ever do.
That's right. The only 57. All right. Stay reckless, Joe.
Stay reckless.
Crits everyone. No.